Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Satisfaction Saturday. The satisfaction in knowing how God has been so gracious and so kind and so loving and forgiving to all of us that we thank Him for all that He has done. We have the satisfaction in knowing that not only does He hear our voice, not only does He answer our cries, but He promised to always be with us. Today, if you will look with me at Luke's Gospel, the 5th chapter, verses 12 through 16, we begin to hear a story that talks about a man who has a case of leprosy. Leprosy was something that so many people found themselves contracting in their day. It was a disease that it was one in which you could not take a vaccination for. But if you found yourself being exposed, you could catch leprosy. And people who caught it were banished away from society, their family, and other things. And Jesus says to the man, if you are willing, you can be healed, and I will make you clean. When Jesus looks at the man says, I am willing, Lord, please heal me. Instantly, the man was healed of leprosy. And Jesus tells him to go and show himself to the priest. Well, it was a part of their religious order that if one was healed of leprosy, you had to go and show yourself to the priest, and there had to be a public testimony of your cleansing. Today, you and I must remind ourselves, just as the man was healed of leprosy, we need to give a public testimony that we have been delivered, we've been healed from all of the sin that was once in our lives, that God has freed us, that God has delivered us, that God has cleansed us. This past week, our brothers and sisters, they began to celebrate in the Jewish tradition that is known as Yom Kippur. It's a time in which all of their sins were forgiven, and they repented of their sins, and they promised God and themselves that they would not look back, but they would only go forward. Jesus begins to remind the man in the text the same way you and I are reminded. Are we willing? Are we willing to do what God has called us to do? Are we willing to go and show ourselves to everyone, to say that I'm a child of the King? I've been delivered from my sins. I've been washed in the blood of the Lamb, and now I am free. Because whomever the Son sets free is free indeed. Jesus heals the man of his leprosy, but Jesus heals us of all of our ailments, of all of our dis-ease and disease. He wants to heal us in every way possible, mentally, socially, emotionally, spiritually, financially, if we would only be in His presence and sit still for a moment to let God have His perfect work. Jesus just speaks to the man and He tells him to go. I think God is telling all of us to go from those places that have plagued us, go from those things that have diseased us, and find ourselves receiving the healing. And when Jesus withdrew from the man, He went into the wilderness for prayer. That begins to let all of us see that when you and I withdraw from those things that would distract us, it is then we can focus on what Jesus has told us to do, to go and to tell the world of His love and of His grace, His mercy, and His saving power. Today, I want to remind you, let's go into the world and tell the world that we've met the man named Jesus, and He has now set us free. For whomever the Son sets free is free indeed. And I want to remind you, in this year of 2022, you are exceedingly and abundantly blessed because God has saved, God has healed you, and it's now time to move forward. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow in worship. May God bless you and heaven smile upon you.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.